Hello class. I'm going to take a little time right now to go through the course syllabus with you. This way, hopefully, any ambiguities can be cleared up, and it'll be a way of clarifying what the expectations are. This might be a good time to pause this presentation and either print out or get the hard copy of the course syllabus so that you can read along with this. So now, presuming that you have that in hand, let's go through it. There is one textbook for the course, John Carver's Boards That Make a Difference, a new design for leadership in the nonprofit and public organizations. And see, I have a copy of it. This is my copy. Hopefully you have something that looks very much like this. We will be referring to it throughout the course. I do urge you to get it, even if I'm not making frequent references to the readings. Those are expected and, in a sense, go without saying. Now to the course description itself, and pardon me, I'm just going to read through this thing. This course will cover broad, established, and emerging themes in leadership as applied to nonprofit organization management. While in many ways leadership specific to the nonprofit sector and leadership in any organization is a difference without a distinction, there are traits associated with the demands of the nonprofit world which are worth analyzing. There are also perennial questions regarding the qualities of good leadership and good management worth reviewing in this context. Other worthwhile questions to examine are whether, for instance, one can be an introvert and an effective leader. We will also consider the importance of walking the walk in terms of being an exemplar of those qualities that are associated with an organizational mission. There are also more clinical approaches to leadership studies that can be applied to the heads of nonprofit organizations. The idea of a one-size-fits-all profile of leadership for any of the myriad of nonprofit organization types will also be challenged within this course. We will go into the concept of nonprofit leader as social entrepreneur in some depth, some investigation on the question of leadership in a cultural context, not only in the conventional sense of national heritages, but also in terms of organizational culture and even in terms of external expectations as to how the role is performed. This course is not confined to talking about leadership. Some applied field research will also be employed to develop a first-hand experience on how leaders are created. This work will help answer other questions that come into popular discussions as to whether leaders are born or not, or made. The research might also provide insights into how personalities might shape the organizations they lead. A resulting compilation of case studies will collectively offer a deeper understanding of the varieties of leadership styles that can all lead to organizational effectiveness. A third element specific to nonprofit organizational leadership concerns the broadening shift to board leadership as opposed to focusing exclusively on an organization's chief executive officer. This is where the course's main textbook comes in. It is a useful way to understand that leadership is hardly confined to the charismatic powers of any single individual. Skillful navigation of nonprofit organizations to achieving goals is, in fact, usually a collective effort involving some unique skills that a well-selected board can bring. A fourth phase of the course will consider emerging themes of leadership in an increasingly networked world. This part of the course will also consider new challenges. And now we'll go to the part of the course syllabus that is usually of greatest interest to participants, and that is, how's the course designed grade-wise? The course assessment points break down as follows. We will do an initial essay on the question of leadership versus management. It's always a good point of departure, I think, to discuss as we get into this question of leadership. We will also have 2 quizzes on lecture and reading material, respectively. Those quizzes will be 10% each of your total assessment. You will be doing a report on a particular school of leadership thought. This will become clear when you see the initial readings, where there is a reading on kind of the typologies that are prevalent in the field of leadership studies. You will also do a paper which will critically assess the main textbook or other readings. So you won't be obliged to use only the Carver book. You may want to develop a critical paper on some of the other readings. That's permissible. We will have a final exam. The final exam will comprise 30% of your overall course grade. And I'll give you some discussion. We'll have a little elaboration on how this is done. But I did want to point out, again, following our course description, that I assess on what's called a relative performance criteria. So that formula is individual performance divided by the cumulative performance of whomever becomes the best performer. You will be assessed on that basis. So if you do the math on this, if you're the individual performer who happens to also be the best performer, then the sum of your work divided by the sum of the best performer will equal 1 times 100, which then becomes that standard. Now, the fact of the matter is that what this does is that kind of brings, it fairly aligns the breakdown of performance compared to the best performer in a more realistic way. If you are performing at 85% of the best performance in class, well, that would be a solid B. If you are performing, heaven forbid, at 3/4 of best performance in class, that would be a C. So it's a fair way. I've used this literally for decades and I've never had complaints. It's a pretty easy to follow formula. The part that I urge you to be careful about, though, is trying to extrapolate what your grade is based upon the grade book within the Angel site, because it'll always appear lower than it actually is, and you will never know, probably never know, who the best performer is, so there is no way to know what your real performance is. Now, that said, if you're getting material back and you are scoring, say, 50% on a quiz, or maybe a very low score on your report, well, then, yeah, consult with me. Let's see what's going on. Let's make sure that we're identifying what the issue is and coming up with a plan to remedy that moving forward. Essay assignments are pretty easy. I mean, in the sense that it's straightforward. 500 to 750 words. So you're looking at 2 to 3 pages on this essay. And it's just a way for you to sort out what this distinction is between leadership and management. Again, good point of departure for us. And it gives me some idea of how well you're going to be able to express yourself effectively in writing. That's a big part of this. Try to include an example of the concept applied in a real-world case. As an essay, I'm not expecting it to be a pure paper. I'm also urging you not to give me an opinion piece, and I also likewise urge you not to give me a book report. I want you to be able to take that question and run with it in a creative way where you're making connections, again, to real-world cases and applications. Quizzes are in weeks 3 and 5. They're sort of the first third and second third of the course. And again, intended to verify your grasp of the material as it's being presented through the course. I will provide you with a study guide, and that will be available roughly a week before the actual quiz, or at least in the week that that quiz will be administered. My quiz designs, as with my exams, tend to be short responses and some multiple choice. You won't be doing essays. You're already doing an essay, so I don't really do that in my exam or in my quizzes. The report on a particular school of leadership thought is at basically the halfway point in the course. We don't have a midterm per se. You can consider this a midterm, if you will. Deal with the themes of leadership theory presented in the first half of the course. Again, the report is descriptive in nature. It's not a formal academic paper. That said, if you are going to do any kind of citations, use APA style. No need for an abstract or any of the other bells and whistles that would come in a formal paper. No need for that. Again, this would be roughly 5-page report, 1,250 words. My assessment is on technical presentation, how well you can spell, your overall grammar, overall coherence, a demonstrated grasp of the concepts, correct interpretation of the readings, and an ability to, again, articulate those concepts. The paper will be a thorough review and comment on one of the course readings. And it should be descriptive. I don't want anything that's purely a book report. Again, I just really want you to stay away from that. Paper should be about 8 pages long. The paper deadline submission will be March 20th, before midnight. Let's see. Anything else to add regarding that? Yeah, the emphasis is on understanding the concepts and how they compare or perhaps contrast with other concepts in the field, as well as demonstrating an ability to apply those concepts to actual organizational and interpersonal dynamics. Again, if you're able to draw upon personal experience, that's good. If you're able to make references to other readings, yes, good. If you want to do a critical assessment and suggest that certain style of leadership would not be appropriate in a given organizational context, go for that. Again, be a little bit careful about a pure opinion piece. That's not a good thing. It should be informed, at least informed. Final exam, comprehensive in nature, will cover all the lectures and readings. You'll be given a study guide, and again, short responses and some multiple choice. So you will be furnished in the syllabus. We have our course schedule. I won't go into that right now, but you will see that there are readings, and I count video presentations as readings, which means, by the way, you can write on a given video presentation and treat that as a reading if you wish. Any other questions, of course, feel free to contact me. I hope that will provide you with an orientation to the course and clarify anything that might not be clear to this point. Okay, I look forward to it. Carry on.